Hello, my name is Asad Bhatti, and welcome to Remote College. We have Muhammad Osama with us, and today in this video, we will be starting a new series. And in this series, we will be solving technical interview problems live, not just showing you the final solution, but walking through how to actually think about the problem step by step. The goal is to make this feel like a study session. You can pause, try things on your own, and follow along as we work through ideas together, even make mistakes and figure things out together. And let's get into it. So, Osama, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. So, are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm about to send you the problem in the chat.
Okay.
Three, two, one, go. I've sent you the problem.
Okay, I'll copy paste it in my Visual Studio Code. Wait. Okay.
Awesome. We will be trying to solve this problem in 1 hour.
Uh, So the question is, you're given a string containing HTML-like content. Your task is to parse the string and count the number of non-self-closing HTML elements that have both an opening and a closing tag. Self-closing tags like BRP should be ignored in the count, returning an object or dictionary where the keys are the tag names and the values are the number of valid non-self-closing occurrence of each tag. So in this example, I can see there's a div, then a p tag, and then there is a span, and then there's again p tag, and then there's br, which is self-closing tag, and then p is closing, and then div is. So there are one p, two divs, two p, and one span. And br is, I think, we didn't use it. We ignored it because I think it says we have to ignore it if they are self-closing. So okay. So the problem seems simple. So first
Yeah,
point is
exactly.
we need to understand like how to solve this question. So I feel like there are two cases in this. So let's write it down. Like what are the two cases we need to solve it for? So first case is when like we should get an array. I think whatever the sorry we get a string. We have to see that we have to get an element, like we get the div element, for example, a simple element, which doesn't self-close. So we are just gonna get it and we are gonna add it in the resultant. We get a simple element and add it in resultant array. And the second case would be if they are self-closing, we are gonna ignore it. So we are gonna prioritize the number one first, then we are going to solve it for the second one. So how are we going to solve it? So let's try to write it down first before solving it. It helps us a lot if we write it down. And if you're preparing for an interview, the interview guy is more interested in how you solve the problem. They know you're nervous and stuff like that. So you need to try to solve it. Try to make logic out of it, and try to solve it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I also do as well. Like I always think out loud whenever I'm solving these technical interview questions. They're more interested in how we approach the problem.
Exactly,
Correct.
exactly.
And I really like how you didn't directly jump into the solution directly. You're working around the problem first, trying to understand things. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So what I'm gonna do first is let's try to write it down what we are gonna do. So making what's the table called? काट लेना इसको, वो क्या कहते हैं यार, वो जो बनाते हैं
किस चीज को?
डायग्राम बनाते हैं ना कि इस स्टेप के बाद ये करो, इस स्टेप के बाद ये करो,
फ्लो चार्ट, फ्लो चार्ट।
हाँ बस ठीक है. So what we are
फ्लो
gonna do,
चार्ट। अच्छा सॉरी।
मैं शुरू कर देता हूँ, तुम इसको कट कर देना. So what we are going to do now is we are going to create a rough flowchart kind of. So to solve this question, so first what we need is we get a string. So what we are going to do is we can write it down by step. So first step could be we need to loop through the string. Like we need to get each attribute and each alphabet or string element, and we are going to see if we have to manipulate it or not. Second step could be we need flags in this thing, in this question. Like if you see, we need to see if where the flag, where the element, where the tag, sorry, HTML tag is starting. HTML starting flag. Flag is just a boolean which will tell us which tells us where to start, which tells us if it's true or false. So for example, we would need when an HTML tag is gonna start and when HTML tag is gonna be over. And the third one I think we need is for the second uh, task we have, to second case, which is self-closing. So we need if to see if it's self-closing tag. So we're gonna
For the audience, what he's doing right now, he's actually pseudo coding it. So pseudo code is basically he's thinking about the logic, but in terms of simple English, no logical, no computer science language. So it's just simple English. He's just thinking and writing it down. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so writing it down helps me resolve the question rather than thinking at the moment. It's just it gets hard, and things get complicated. It might get complicated a little bit more in the later phase, but what steps to take. So let's move on to the next step. So second step for us was HTML tag. We set the flags. So now what we're gonna do is, so if the tag is uh, self-closing, then we are just gonna return it from the we're just gonna return it from the loop, you know like return it from the condition, whatever it is. So we don't care, we just don't add it on the resultant array, not add it in resultant array. So, and if it is if element exists, then we have to add it in the resultant array. So resultant array, if you see the resultant array above, what we see is that it contains the element key and then its count. So we have to add it through, I feel like, a loop. Yeah, so we have to add a loop for that. So if how do we add it? We add it through a loop. Like loop will check if the element exists. So we will, uh, you know, increase the count, or else just add it. So that's the purpose of the loop. Okay. So I think that's all. I don't think there's any other case left. So let's start solving this question. What do you say, everybody?
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Okay.
I think you have the uh, rough work ready, and I think that we should just go ahead.
Okay, so I need an example string for that. So I'm gonna just copy one from internet and I'm gonna paste it here.
You can use one of the examples posted above, no?
Yeah, it's fine. I can use anything, right?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go one by one. So the first problem I see here, like I didn't write it down, is that there are a lot of spaces here in this string. So what I can do is I can use JavaScript replace function. What replace function does is it replaces all the empty strings and stuff like that, if provided the proper regex. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the proper regex. So I'm gonna trim this HTML. So HTML string dot replace. So as it says, like the first value is the search value. So the search value would be the regex. You can regex is usually, you know, you don't have to learn it. I think uh, it's just mostly Google copy pasted. So yeah, I think interviewers don't even stop you from that as well. So that's a good way.
Just for those who don't know what regex is, so regex is kind of like a language, and the main reason for that is it's a way of finding specific parts of anything that's written. Simple as that. So if you want to find, if there's something written in front of you and you want to find some parts through it, regex is kind of something that helps you over here. So yeah, like Osama said, it's not actually necessary to use that, but it really helps if you learn. So yeah, and this is an example of regex being used. You can just copy paste it off Google even.
Okay, so I'm just gonna create a function parse result, which is gonna get an input of HTML. Naming convention is important. That's not a great name. Parse. We can name it. So what we are essentially doing is we are taking tags out of the HTML string provided to us. So what we can do is parse HTML tags. We can name it like this. So I'll create this function here. Parse HTML tag, and it's gonna receive string. So we can just copy it and paste it here like this. So it's gonna receive a string, and we can just console.log the result here. So when we whatever this function will return, it's gonna console.log it. For example, I'm gonna return hello just to test it. So or not sure. I can just test it right now. So if I npm start it, it's gonna provide result hello. The result is hello. So
Awesome.
let's continue solving it. So first thing is let's try to make the resultant array. So the resultant array, we need to set type of it because I'm using TypeScript. So I'm gonna set a type, and TypeScript is really helpful in this thing. Like if we get any type error, it resolves it for us. So which is really helpful. So it's gonna have two things. It will have a key and a string, key of string into number. So we can assign it to empty string for now. So what this key and string does is it tells us that we can add any string here and it will accept it. So because we don't know which element is going to
Okay.
come, we can there are two ways. We can add all the elements and just use that here, or we can just do it key into string. So whatever it's gonna be, like for example, their section, it's gonna use that, and it's gonna be assigned to a number. Like if we see the example, it's giving ul li and then
Okay, got it, got it. So it's like an object, and in object you have a string as a key, and the value of that key is supposed to be a number. That's basically the type of the result that's going to come, right?
yeah, exactly. Okay,
Got it.
so let's continue with it. So first thing is what we let's see what we wrote. So the next step is we need to have some HTML starting tag, HTML over tag, and a self-closing tag. So let's go. Let's first of all let's make a. We should loop through it, and whatever tags, sorry, flags we need, we can add it later on. So let's use for loop for now. Let I equal to 0. Just like in university times, it's using the same old for loop. So I have trim HTML dot length and I. Okay, so let's loop through it. So first thing is what we have to do is like if the element exists, we have to add it in the result getter. So all the element starts with the opening tag. So first thing we need to do is we need to see that which elements are if it's starting, we need to set like the elements are the tag is starting. So we can do is trim HTML of I is equal to this. Then we need to do is we will know we will have this information that the the HTML tag is starting. So we can have an let's create a create a flag for it. So let start flag start tag flag equal to false. So what we are going to do here is we are going to make it true. So the point of this is that we know that now we know this whenever this flag is true, we know that the tag is started. Now we have two things.
Okay.
Like it could, if it's there are two kind of tag here. You see, one tag is simple, and when it's ending, it has a slash within it. So we need to check that if the element is self-closing, then we need to, we don't have to add it. We just have to add the ones which are not self-closing. So what we're gonna do here is we have two choices. I think we can add another closing another flag, or we can just check the next variable if it's a slash. Which one do you prefer to?
Slash sounds better.
Okay, so we can use this
Yeah.
one. Like if the next element is slash. So what we're gonna do is we can add if the next element I plus 1 is equal to slash, which is going to be the next element. What we are going to do is we are gonna just do this, that we're gonna make the we have to store the value of each object as well, so we need to create a variable for it as well. Like we need to store each tags, like whatever is starting, so we need to have a string of it, so we have to save it. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna remove whatever is in it in the tag, because we don't want to add if it's a slash. So that's one thing we are gonna do in this case. Okay.
So this basically removes that self-closing tag option.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
that check.
Exactly.
Okay, got it, got it.
Not the self-closing one. It's just the one sorry, yeah, I misinterpreted the ones which are closing, right? So it's gonna take care of this itself. So yeah, it's take care of the situation user and this as well. Like if the element is self-closing, it's just not gonna
Oh,
take care of
that's
it. Yeah.
interesting. That's interesting. That's
Even if
very
it's come
interesting.
before or after, it doesn't care. So it's gonna take care of the both things. So that's the interesting part here. So okay, so what we did was, if it's this, we are gonna start it. Okay, so the next thing is, when it comes back to the second time loop, what we want to do is we want to add the value, whatever, like after this the div is coming, right? So we want to save these tags. So let's create a tag for that now. Okay, so what we are gonna do is, so if the value exists, so then we have to uh, add the whatever the value is coming. For example, I told you the div is. So for example, if the start tag flag is true, then what we are gonna do? Like we know now the element has started. So if the element has started, okay, we missed one thing, like important thing. Sorry to go back, but if we are checking the next value that it's a slash, then we have to ignore it as well. We have to do this as well, right? Because it's gonna
Oh yes. So just so we getting, yeah, got it,
re-
got it.
remove, so we don't have to go back to this again. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna,
it basically escapes you from that element in the loop, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
it.
just an optimization way, or else we have to go to the next one as well for no reason. So yeah. Okay, so if the start flag is true, we what we just have to do is we have to add the value, like whatever the tag is, we just keep adding it, and adding the value that is coming, which is gonna be, what is the value? Trim HTML of I. Okay. So what we are doing is we are gonna keep adding it until this closing tag icon comes. So yeah. So it's gonna start adding that. So when the, so what we need now is, if the trim HTML of I is equal to this icon, then what we have to do is we have to, oh sorry, my bad, not this icon, right? So yeah, so this icon. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna reset the start tag flag to false, because now the tag is over. Now what we have to do is
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
the div element in this tag. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna just use this resultant array, whatever our resultant array is, and we're gonna map it to the element. So how it's gonna work is, like whatever the resultant array is, what we're gonna do is we are just gonna get the tag value, and we are just gonna give it one for now. Later on, we have to increase the count as well. So for now, I'm just gonna assign it one. The case where we have to add the elements, like if p is coming twice here, then we're gonna handle it later here. So
So
we are gonna,
this is going to serve as the first element, like the first count. That's why you're hard coding the one right now.
yeah, for now. Later on, I will
Okay.
add the count here. Later
Okay.
on,
Got it.
uh, I'll, what we have to do, I'm just gonna comment, so to do to do if count is higher than one, then we have to manage it. Okay, so
Got it.
that's that. So what case is left? Can you think of any?
Um, I think closing tag.
So we, for the closing tag, we have the starting tag, we have the
Yeah.
this one, and we have the, oh yeah, we have the closing tag now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I think if you're asking me, we did manage the self-closing one together, no? In the line 75, so I don't think there's anything left.
Okay, so we can just return resultant error, and we can just parse or do this. So we are getting some error. Where is the error? Where is the error? Why is it? Oh, the wrong. It should be result here. Okay. So let's rerun it.
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best. So it's giving me a lot of things. A div h1, h1, h1p, which is wrong right now. So we
Yeah, but we do see a pattern over here, no? We
yeah
are looking at a pattern, and it's also giving us this image tags.
yeah right now it is because it's self-closing, right? And
Yeah,
yeah.
and even in the last two lines, article section div. So that's what it's doing. So sometimes it's basically taking the next element, it's combining that. So yeah, probably that's what's happening.
So what's happening is we see the div h1, then the div h1 as well. Like they are, it's the I feel like the tag element, the tag we're using is not empty. Like it stays. Like where there is a place where we need to remove the tag, and which we are not removing it, right?
Oh, so once when the job is done, it should empty the tag, and focus on the next one. So what's happening is it's just keeping it stored, and the next one just gets appended. That's what's happening.
Exactly what's happening. So when
Got it.
it's closing, so let's just focus on the first one. So the div comes and it does it perfectly. Then the next element comes, which is if we see the example, which is h1. So whenever the starting tag comes, it comes to this line, and then it comes to this one, and the tag is not being emptied yet. So what we need to do is we need to make sure whenever we are starting, we need to start it from the scratch. So this might resolve this problem at all. Just a simple thing. See, now it's resolved. So we have one div, we have one h1, we have one p, then we have one. Let's just map it. We have one div, then we have h1, then we have p, then we have strong, which is fine. Then we have image. Right now we do because yeah, we have br, we have section, we have article, then we have p, which is again because we are not counting it, so it's coming again, right? So yeah, why is there two divs? I think this is something wrong in the code as well. Okay, it's a self-closing div, so which it is writing it as well. So this would be ignored and this would be ignored, and the problem right now is the case one I feel like is perfectly running. The case two is not working. So how do we resolve this? Any ideas?
What I'm guessing is in line 65, you could add a clause, I -1, something like that. That could be an idea.
I minus one.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, if there's a slash right behind the closing chevron, right? So that could help us detect a self-closing tag.
Yeah, you see, this one has it, this one has it, and this one has it. So yeah, that we can do it like on the 65 lines. This is what you're saying. Not on the 65. We have to do it inside of it, right? We shouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's my idea.
So yeah, okay. So what we're gonna do is, as you suggested, if trim of I minus one is equal to this.
Okay,
then-
sorry to interrupt. We have like 30 minutes have passed.
Okay, we're really close to ending, I think. We are
Yeah,
solving
awesome.
all
I
these
think
ones.
our algorithm is actually developed. We're just fixing it now.
Yeah. The thing
Awesome.
is left is this to do thing. I don't think it's a problem at all. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, so what we are doing is like if it's that, then we are just gonna remove the tag to empty, and we are just gonna do this in the else case. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Okay, I'm refreshing it. I turned off the video. I can turn it on again. It's on. I don't know where I did something to remove prettier before. Oh yeah, I added this file prettier ignored. So I can.
Okay, you fix that. Meanwhile, I have something to say to the audience.
Okay.
So basically, a very important tip over here is that it's extremely easy to get overwhelmed during an interview session. I mean, by this time, a very important thing happens is that we start giving up, right? Like we're actually halfway through, but sometimes we're like, is it getting too complicated? It actually happened with me in an interview once. I was given a problem, and I was solving it, but I think I was really close to the solution. But in the middle, there was a sense in me that maybe what I'm doing is wrong. Maybe I'm overcomplicating it. But that's the problem. You have to continue it. You have to stop. You don't have to give up. And this can become overwhelming. You have to let go of these thoughts. And even now, for Osama, I'm pretty sure it might be feeling that overwhelming. But since he's given so many interviews now, so obviously he's gone through that process. But this is the tip: don't give up. So anyway,
And yeah, I agree with you. And not to look at time. It's fine if it's getting lower and lower. Just focus on the problem and try to solve it. As I said earlier, the interview, the guy, they see your how are you thinking, how are you solving the question. They don't care if you fully solve it. They want to see how you think and solve the problem. So that's more important, the logic part. So yeah. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. So if it's that, we are not going to add the tag. So let's try to rerun it. Let's see if it works. See, it works perfectly. So the only problem we have left right now is the when the count is higher than one. So we have to
awesome. You solved that problem. Good. Awesome.
yeah, by doing the solution you suggested. See, it's kind of simple. So, okay, so what it is the resultant array we have is an object. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve this to do. So if the object dot keys, like if there are keys, in the resultant arrays, resultant resultant array dot length is greater than 0, then we have to add the number. Otherwise we can just do this thing that we can just add this back here, so which is fine. Okay, so if the element is start, what do we need is we need to find the tag as well. Like there are two things in this resultant array. There's this tag and then there's this number. We have to find this tag first, then we have to find this number. So what function we can use is, I think we can use object.entries because it returns us the key and the value as well. So let's use that object dot to map through it. So yeah, dot entries. So entries, in the parameter we have to give the string, whatever whatever the object we are using. So here we are using resultant array. So for looping through them, we can use for each, for example. Okay, so for each, and it's gonna return us key value there, right? Key, and then there is value. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna map it. So like this. So we have two values, we have key and the value. So if the key is equal to the tag, tag is what again? Tag is the one which is the string where we are storing the current tag, whatever it is, like the div h1 or whatever it is. So if these are equal, what are we gonna do? We are gonna just take the resultant array and we are gonna find that. We can use tag or key here both because it's same. So yeah, so I'm gonna use tag here and we are gonna assign it value plus 1. So whatever the value was, like if it already existed 1, it's gonna make it 2. So yeah. So what if it's the length is greater than 0 and it's not it's greater than 0 but it's not equal to the tag? Then what we should do? We can add it else here, but it's gonna work for each of for each. So it's not gonna work. So what do you suggest, Bertie? What should we do here to fix that problem?
Could you repeat the options?
So the issue right now we are having is that when the key is not equal to tag but it's greater length than 0, we are not adding it in the list. So what should be happening? Should there be any else case? There should be an else case, right? Which should do exactly here, but it's gonna, I feel like, create an issue because it's gonna replicate the old ones to 1 as well. So we don't want to do that. We just wanna If the
We can
key
just continue, no? Like we can just continue with it. Only if key equals to tag, then make the change. Otherwise, just leave it. No,
Okay.
that can be done.
Okay. Let's do that. So see, it's running dev2. It's not working like that.
Yeah, it's removing all the others then.
Exactly. See, so what we need to, I feel like what we can do here is we can just create a flag, which could be as found. This is fine. We can set it to false, and let's what do is found is equal to true here. Like we found it, and why do we need it? Is because what we can do is now is if is found is false, then what we can do is we can do the same thing we are doing here. So we can keep adding the values. So that's I think fine. Now let's run it. It should work fine now. See, so we have two divs. We have everything two right now. We made a mistake. I think we have two strongs. Okay, so we are
Hmm.
counting, but there is an issue. Let's see. How? Let's see the string. We have one div. Yeah, we have one div. We have one. Oh, so see, if you see the pattern, the p is 4. So it's counting. I think these two. The is counting h1 as these two. Div as in this two. So article we have to, but it's not ignoring the self-closing one.
Oh, so okay, it's not ignoring that.
Yeah, but I think you suggested this, right? If it's this, then we just do this, and we are not adding it. So why is
I
it?
think I think it is ignoring the self-closing one, but it is not ignoring the closing tag. Like there's a difference between the two things, right?
Yeah, I think we made a mistake here. If we just remove this and we do this, it's giving us a perfect answer. So yeah, it was working fine. We just made a mistake here. We just need to find in this place what mistake we made here. So what's happening is if the resultant array is like let's see the normal case. If its length is 0 on the first time it's gonna come, it will have nothing, so it's gonna add it. So let's see if it's found. Let's see if we're gonna for each for the resultant array if it exists. If key equal to tag, what we are gonna do is like whatever the tag is, for example, is div, we are gonna assign it 1 plus 1, whatever the value is, and we are gonna do is found equal to true. And if it's false, then it shouldn't create an issue. Okay, can we use the debug point?
Yeah, we can. We can.
Okay, so
It's actually preferred if you in an interview session. It's actually preferred if you do that.
okay, okay, we can just run it. So it's stopped here. So we can add it on the watch tab, whatever the values are. So right now, if you see the first time when it comes, the resultant array is empty. So it's gonna resultant or def equal to 1. So, yeah. And then it's coming to the start to flag. That's and when it's gonna maybe come here and okay. So start to flag. It's coming here. Okay. Okay. Why am I? Let me stay here. Okay. So the resultant array is 1 now. It has increased. So let's see what the tag is coming. Tag is h1 is coming right now. So it's gonna try to find it here. So let's move on to the next thing. So if the key is div, key is not equal to h1. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna loop through it. It's found. The found is false, so it's gonna add it to the resultant array. So it's working totally fine for now. I think I wrote resultant array. I just need to update the name. I think this is fine now. Right now it's totally fine. It's working totally fine. Let's move on.
Also, I think it's also important if I should tell the audience what debugger is for those of you who don't understand. So basically, debugger is this is the debugger. The common way of debugging programs is just to console log or to run a print statement, but it's really better if you use these debugging tools. There's a special tools. There are special tools that help you figure out where the problem is. It basically lets you see your program like a game or a program step by step. You tunnel vision onto where your program is right now. So this is the cool part about a debugger. Rather than what console logs or print statement do is they give you the outputs when the program is run completely. But debuggers, it lets you stop. So these red points are where Osama has instructed the debugger to stop the code. And once he clicks a step over function, the code runs the next line. So he's just looking each line one by one. So that really helps us in the debugging process.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So I think I did identify the problem. I think the issue is we're using if else, so it always comes inside of it, no matter what, even if the element we are using is the closing tag, because we are just stopping it here. But if when this element is, we ignore it and we go to the else, right? So yeah, this is the issue. So how do we resolve this? So one thing is we can use else if, which can help us do that. So what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Let's try.
Okay, so let's do this next. Like how many ifs we have? We have this one, if, then we have this answer, and then we have this answer. I think it's going on these three conditions. It should go on only one at a time. If it's this element,
So
then
the difference between all these ifs and elifs is that when you're using consecutive if statements, it runs each segment. But in the case of else ifs, it only runs the if statement and only goes to the else if that's false. So that's, I think, the difference, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, so yeah, I think this should fix my. Oops, it is. Okay, let's see what could be the issue. Object.entries. Let's try to figure it out together. If the resultant array.length is greater than 0, why is the second h1 coming, right? This is the question we need to see. Why is it increasing by 1? So one h1 comes, then the other h1 is also coming. So what we are doing is we are just doing this. Oh yeah, we are not. We have to ignore this part as well. We have to ignore this. If it's the self-closing one,
Yeah, we have to
doing that.
ignore.
So we are not keeping track of it. So we are not ignoring this part, which is why it's coming as second time. So what we need is we need to have a skip flag as well. Let's keep another flag. Let's skip closing flag, which is gonna be false for the start. So what we're gonna do is when it comes to this, it's gonna we can make it true. So we're gonna make it true. So we can add it. We can make this one the else of, and we're gonna add. Oh, sorry. If this, then do this, and then this. So what we're gonna do is if it's true, and we are just gonna keep. We can do nothing as well. We can just do this. Oh, we don't have. If we return, it's gonna return from the only that for loop, right? It's not gonna break the for loop, right? This return.
I think it should, but let's see.
Okay, so we have to stop.
I mean, I think we should, just an opinion, I think we should use the continuous statement over here, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, continue makes more sense. Exactly, you're fine like that. That's perfect. And trim of I is not equal to this. So we cannot just do this. We have to make sure that it's not whenever the closing icon comes. So if the string we see, if this string comes, it should go back to the below one. And if we are going to the below one, this one, then we are just checking this one. Okay, then what we have to do in this case? So we have to stop it as well now. So what we can do is if skip is this, and we are just
Okay, here's something, by the way, what I normally do in
Okay.
coding interviews.
Okay.
What I do is just to debug. What I do is, like, for example, in line 62, I make a new line and add a comment of what the result is. So, for example, if we are going with H1, so I just add a comment H1, and then I move on. So it helps me visualize like what my algorithm is. So probably it can also help.
We just don't need to add this. So okay, I got it. We can add comments too, and comments are really important part of solving the questions as well. So adding each line comments, and the naming should be really good as well. So naming convention. So it makes the question easy to understand, because when you're solving and there is a lot of code, and when you go back, you need to understand what the element, whatever the object does, whatever your constant object or the length constant does. So you need to see. So what I did is
Awesome.
what I did is I made it true whenever this icon comes. So I know that it's the self-closing icon, and I have to ignore it till this closing tag comes. So I made it true. So whenever it comes here, so it's just gonna come here. And if the this icon comes, then I'm gonna make it close, and it's gonna go to the next element. And I'm hoping this should fix this. It fixed the diff. It doesn't fix the h1. And for p1, it's still 4, right? It fixed a little bit, but it's not fixing it totally. Let's see why. Let's add
Yeah, I think we should run the debugger again.
yeah, we should run the debugger again. Why is it coming again? Okay, let's do this, and let's just keep running it. Okay, so let's keep watching the values of tag and the trim HTML. Let's remove this. We don't need this. We don't need this. We just need trim HTML of I, whatever the letter is. So we can add it here. So let's just keep going to the div. We don't care. We have to see what is happening here, because this is the one which is creating issue right now. Why is it creating 2 right now? H1 should be 2, I think. H1 is here. I think H1 is 1. P is 2. So okay,
Yeah, H1 should be 1, P should be.
P should be 2. Okay.
It should be 2. Yeah, there's another
Okay,
P.
so H1 tag is coming. If you see the values are changing, then there is the welcome text is coming. Now we have to see what is happening here. So this letter is coming. So it's gonna start it, and now H1. It's gonna start. It's the tag is H and then 1. Then we have the closing tag again. Really? Oh, I need to run it again. I think I missed something. Okay, let's keep going. Div closed, and then there's this H1 which is closed. This is welcome. It's done through this. Then this icon should come, which is it's gonna come here, and it's gonna see. Yeah, we need to see it. What's happening here? So it's gonna come here, and it's gonna see that trim of I is this. It's gonna come inside. It's gonna make it true, and if the I plus 1 is this. So if we try to print it out here, it's gonna be slashed. So it's gonna go in, and in the tags, it's gonna make it 0, and it's gonna increase the I value. So it's gonna ignore the slash, which we intended to do here, which is fine. So let's go. So what is it's gonna come is the skip closing tag. It's false for now. So it's gonna come here and see if it's closing tag. The value is H1. It's gonna ignore it. H1, and then the closing tag. Yeah. So again, it's gonna come here and it's gonna go here. So you see the problem, right? What is happening is we are checking if trim I minus 1, whatever it is, the logic you said, it's never gonna be equal to this slash. Why? Because when it's closing, the last letter is not this one. It's closing way before. It's gonna be the case in the case of these values, which are self-closing, but not in the case of these one.
Yeah, it's only for the self-closing ones.
Yeah. So what we are not catering for is this condition. We missed this one. So we are taking care of the self-closing one.
So, so for aren't we taking care of them later if you scroll down?
Yeah.
In the I plus 1, you wrote I plus 1 somewhere. Further down, go further down. Yeah, here. In line 94. Like, aren't we catering to that over here? I mean, I minus 1 is is where our self-closing one comes in, right?
So
I mean,
just what's happening is if we're I plus plus is just ignoring.
yeah, we kind of made a mistake or
Yeah.
where to, yeah.
This one.
I think we swapped logic. Yeah, I think we swapped logic for both the scenarios.
Yeah. So what we can do is we can have another flag. We can add a let closing flag start. We have no clue where it's starting. We need to have an idea where the closing flag is starting. So what we can do is we can closing flag is starting is true. We can make it true, and when it comes back here in this if where it's turning it off. Where it's the tag is empty.
Yeah, where tag is closing basically.
Yeah, what we
So
can do
yeah.
is if it's the closing tag, we can just make the tag equal to empty, okay, which is gonna be the case. And we don't have to do anything, and we have to make this closing cells back to false.
False.
So we identified the issue through debugger. So yeah, this is one way to solve these questions, and we can just remove this and clear it out, and let's try it again. See, it's working totally fine now.
Wow. So at 3:15, we were extremely stuck. None of us knew if we were going to solve it. But at 3:23, we solved it. So, which reminds me about what Osama said a while ago, that don't really worry about time. Solutions just come to you. And we just don't need to give up. And if we just look at the time, time is there just to distract us.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. This was amazing, Usama. And further, I'd like to iterate. There are a lot of queries where people are asking things like, why do we even need this sort of function in real life? There are many use cases for such things, actually. In simple CRUD applications, of course, you don't really need such things. But as you go deeper, as you build cool applications, you really need these sort of things. For example, if you have this rich text editor, or in fact, if you want to build something like your own code editor, right? And you want to give out errors for incorrect tags, right? This function could really be useful for such a thing. Similarly, if you're, for example, building these website builders, and if you have these website builders, and where users can, drag and drop like WordPress or Wix or things like that, these sort of functions are really good, and they really help us in these sort of scenarios. So it's really, it's not just about these technical interviews. These sort of things are actually, they help us become a better programmer.
Yeah, exactly. You're totally correct. I agree with you.
And and one more thing for the audience. We didn't. We even did. We also didn't use. We choose not to use regex because not everyone is really familiar with regex. But that could really, if for example you're well versed with regex, that could actually save up a lot of your time as well. But again, that's not a necessity. You don't really need to learn regex. Again, anything that is done that is possible in regex, it's completely possible over here as well. Look, we just solved it without using any of this. It just helped you. It's not something of a necessity. So yeah. Any final notes, Osama? How did you like this challenge? Was it interesting, or did it give you a hard time, or is it just like others that you keep on doing in your interview questions?
It was really interesting. It was a string manipulation. The first thing was the regex one, but regex makes it really easy. So I thought let's do it through the loops and stuff like that. So it was really fun. So one thing is what we need to make sure, like this is one thing we wrote a code because of the interview part. We're just doing it fastly. So we need to see the big O of the code as well. So for example, in this case, there is only one for loop, so it's O to the n. So we need to keep it as minimum as possible. So there are a lot of excepts. There is the other way is to do the switch cases and to minimize the code as much as possible. The best way to do it is still the regex. It will remove the code a lot, by a lot. So we can do that. And the other thing is we should divide this code into smaller functions, which will help us get the code, like understand the code easily. And the code, I'll share the code with you later on to understand for your understanding. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'll add this as a repo probably, and gonna add this in the description down below. So anyone can get access to this and see how they can run this code and all. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, Osama. This was an amazing session, and see you on next Sunday.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.